Legoland California is situated in Carlsbad, and with it being home to over 25 world-class attractions, it is easy to know why it is so popular. However, today, by using the categories Thrill, Queueline, Theming and Fun, we are going to review and rank every ride at the park. Have you ever wanted to get that drop tower sensation without the thrill of heights? Well, if so, then you must take a ride on our first attraction, Beetle Bounce, as you could do just that. Themed towards, believe it or not, the ancient Egyptian beetles. As soon as you're queued up in what I must say is a pretty plain queue line and then boarded one of the creatively designed gondolas, you will rise, drop and bounce around many ancient theming pieces as well as hieroglyphics, and that definitely doesn't bug me at all. Ding ding. And so when taking all of that into account, in addition to the fact that unfortunately you can only fit one adult per gondola, we're going to score it 15. Get your sick bags ready, as next up on our list, things are starting to get a lot more dizzy with Bionicle Blasters, the park's spinning teacups ride. And similar to all of the other ones around the world, if you are brave enough to ride, of course, you will board a Bionicle Blaster bod that will spin around on a disc, which then also spins around on another disc. However, we are still not at the best part yet, as by using the wheel in the centre of your pod, you can make yourself spin even more, or just take a more relaxing and calm ride. Comment down below though, what would you do on the ride that we are scoring 17? Ahoy there me hatties, and welcome to Captain Cranky's Challenge, the most awesome ride on the 7 seas. Ding ding. Okay, that was an awful joke, but this ride sure isn't, with you being able to become an honorary pirate captain, and with help of course from Captain Cranky himself, test your seaworthiness. Nevertheless, it is not all easy sailing, with your boat not only rising up and down on the U-shaped track, but also rotating around, causing even the bravest of pirates in the group to let out a little scream. And so we're going to give this ride a combined score of 19. From becoming a pirate captain to a captain of your very own plane, we are going to take off on Cargo Ace. However, before we do begin to talk about the ride itself, with it being a very common type of flat ride, if you are heading to the park on a busy day, then we would suggest riding the more unique attractions first. Nevertheless, if you do get a chance to ride, you will definitely not be disappointed, with your plane soaring around many smooth straights and some not so smooth whips along the oval layout, and therefore I would feel wrong not to give it a score of 13. Who here loves Miniland? Well, of course you do, but do you know that on our next attraction, Coast Cruise, it will take you on a guided tour around this much beloved area? Similar to such rides as Storybook Canal boats at the Disneyland, as soon as you have jumped into one of the boats, you will set off along an 8-minute river journey, seeing everything from the Sydney Opera House to the Eiffel Tower to even New York City itself, all whilst you get some, let's just say, quite cringy commentary throughout. And therefore, no matter who you are or what your thrill level is, this is definitely a must-see ride at the park, and so we're giving it a combined score of 19. It is time for our first roller coaster on the list, as for the most awesome ride at the park, we have no other than Coastersaurus, and even though it is the smallest coaster at the park, it definitely packs a punch. themed towards, believe it or not, the Lego dinosaurs. From the moment you see this ride with all of its models and landscaping, you will feel immersed in this prehistoric world. And this only continues on the ride itself, with you being able to race around 2 laps full of many twists, turns and helixes in an awesome looking minecart. And therefore we think this ride easily deserves a score of 31. Have you ever wanted to drive your very own car? Well, if so, then do not fear, as we now have Lego Driving School, where not only can you drive your own car, but you can drive your very own Lego's car around many miniature scale Legos themed roads. However, this is not all as easy as it sounds, as along your drive you will encounter many real life situations, like having to stop at the traffic lights and turning the right way at the T-junctions. Nevertheless, as long as you keep your eyes on the road, you will definitely not drive someone else crazy on the ride that we're going to score 18. For our next ride on our all rides list, everything is starting to become awesome, as we have Emmet's Flying Adventure Ride, the park's flying theatre, and despite it just looking like a rocking chair in the air, trust me when I say this is an experience that you will never forget, because once you have made it through the highly themed Lego movie world and then queued up in the fun but also very enjoyable queue line, which also features a pre-show, you'll be able to board the one and the only triple decker couch, which does not only move but also uses special effects too, making you feel as if you are a real master builder. How awesome is that? And so we're gonna score it 22. You can't have a Legoland theme park without a fairy tale Brook, and Legoland California is no exception, as we now have Fairy Tale Brook. And out of every single one that I have been on across the world, this has got to be my favourite, and here is why. Now of course, similar to all the other versions, as soon as you have boarded your leaf boat, you will explore many fairy tales like Billy Goat Gruff, Hansel and Gretel, as well as Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, all of which are made from Legos. Nevertheless, what I particularly love about this ride is the scenery, as with all of its rockwork and trees surrounding the attraction, it makes it 10 times better, and so we're giving it a score of 20. There has been a fire in Lego Funtown, and it is up to you, of course, if you think you have what it takes to save the day at Funtown Police and Fire Academy. However, there is no time to waste, because as soon as the bell goes off, you and your group will need to rush into the fire truck and use the levers provided as well as pumps to move it towards the burning buildings. But we are still nowhere near over yet, as then you're going to need to be on fire by using the water guns provided to get rid of the flames, and then return back to the truck and see who can make it back to the start the quickest. Wow, that's a lot. The question is though, are you team fire or police on the ride that we are scoring 18? If you are not old enough to ride Lego Driving School but are between the ages of 3 and 5, then do not fear, as Legoland California has not just got 1 but 2 driving schools, with the second one being Junior Driving School, and by no means is this as big as the other one, but for all of the younger drivers out there, this is definitely a must do. Nevertheless, with it also featuring some pretty tricky turns, similar to the other one, it is not always easy as putting your foot to the metal, and therefore when taking all of this into account, as well as unfortunately the lack of theming for a children's ride, we are going to give it a score of 13. Are you scared of heights? Well, if so, then skip to the next ride, as coming up on the list we have Kids Power Tower, and standing at a height of 15 feet in the air, this is definitely not for the faint of heart. However, nor is it your normal drop tower, as instead of just rising to the top, getting an amazing view across the park, and then dropping again on Kids Power Tower by using the rope in the middle, you can control yourself. Yes, you heard me right, control yourself, meaning that no matter whether you want to rise, drop, pause or bounce, this ride has you covered, and so we're scoring it 16. It is time to go under the sea, as for our next ride on the list, we have Lego City Deep Sea Adventure, which has taken your typical aquarium to the next level, as once you have boarded your very own Lego submarine, you will venture deep into the undersea world, seeing over 2,000 live sea animals, from fish to stingrays to even sharks. However, we are still not finished yet, as along your 7-minute journey, you will also encounter some Lego models and deep sea divers, and therefore for all of this and so much more, including the awesome portholes on the front, we are giving this very unique aquarium a combined score of 24. Do you think you have what it takes to become a ninja? Well, if so, then you've got to put your skills to the test with Lego Ninjago the ride, themed towards the famous Lego TV program Lego Ninjago. From the moment you see this land and head through the queue line with all of its temples and items from the show, you will instantly fall in love with this ride, and this only continues on the attraction itself, with the opportunity to not only head around lots more screens with even more characters and scenes, but in addition to this, by moving your hand like a ninja, you can shoot the baddies and see who gets the highest score on the ride, which we are scoring 24. For our next ride on the list, things are starting to become a lot more intense, as we have no other than Lego Technic Coaster. And wow, is this ride for the thrill seekers out there or what? Similar to some of the bigger coasters from the parks around the world, just with a Lego touch towards it. As soon as you have built up the courage to ride, you and up to 3 others will race around a Lego Technic themed track, featuring everything from, and get ready for it, 50-foot drops to your classic wild mouse twists and turns, to airtime hills, to even the sharp brake runs at the end. And therefore we have to give it a score of 27. All aboard! As for our next ride on our list, we have Legoland Express. And no matter whether you have had a long day at the park and just want to put your legs up for a minute, or are looking for another fun family attraction for the youngsters out there, then this is a must do. However, unfortunately, this is not your normal theme park train ride, as instead of just heading around the park and having lovely stops along the way if you are lucky enough, this train ride is extremely small in both length and size, and therefore with its lack of theming too, we are going to give it the lowest score so far of 8. Did you lose on the Lego Ninjago laser game? Well, if so, then do not fear, as you have another chance to redeem yourself on Lost Kingdom Adventure, the park's second and my personal favourite one out of the laser games. As for starters, just looking at the ride will make you want to jump aboard with its giant Lego Egyptian models, and you should definitely do that, as on ride itself is 10 times better, with your adventure continuing with you boarding an off-road vehicle, and heading around many LEGO fun animatronics and some unique artifacts that you will need to shoot, making it perfect for both adults and kids alike, and so we're scoring it 26. Back in LEGO Movie World, and for in fact one of our last rides in the land, we have Queen Watevrea's Carousel, and out of all the attractions in the land, to be honest, this is one of the weakest, with it being your bog standard carousel. Nevertheless, if you do have the time within your day to ride, or are you just a huge fan of Queen Watevrea's, then you should give this a go, because on this LEGO Movie themed attraction, you will be able to climb aboard one of the many creatively designed ponies to then giddy up in circles as well as up and down, and therefore we're giving it a score of 12. Are you heading to Legoland California on a hot Californian day? Well, it's California, so you probably are, and therefore our next attraction on the list, Pirate Reef, is a must-do, because as you can probably guess by the name, this is the park's water ride, and oh yeah, it will get you soaked, as after queuing up in the awesome pirate queue line, you will jump aboard a boat which then from here on out will ascend a lift hill to then plummet into the water below, causing everyone on board as well as the bridge opposite to get absolutely drenched. And so it would feel wrong of me not to give it a score of 26. Who here has ever wanted to become a LEGO Knight? Well, of course you do, but do you know that you can do just that on our next attraction, Royal Joust? However, just before we do begin to talk about the ride itself, with you being able to fit one or possibly two per horse, the output for this ride is very slow, causing it to sometimes have a bit more of a longer queue than you may seem, so make sure to keep that in mind. Yet we would still definitely recommend a ride, with you being able to bounce around on a fun LEGO horse, many medieval scenes. How cool is that? And so we're giving it a combined score of 17. Next up on our all rides list, things are starting to get a lot more wild, as we're going to head on to Safari Trek, and based off a real life safari, of course with there being LEGO animals instead of real ones. After queuing up in the pretty plain queue line, you and your group will be able to adventure past many zebras, followed by giraffes, elephants, flamingos, rhinos, lions, and the list goes on and on and on. All whilst you are also going around probably the nicest scenery at the park. And so in my opinion, a trip to Legoland California is nowhere near complete without a ride on Safari Trek, which we are scoring 19. If becoming a knight or a safari driver is not for you, then that's fine, as Legoland California has got Skipper School, where if you think you have what it takes to become a captain of your very own boat, you can steer around lots of LEGO scenes. However, what I particularly love about this ride over the rest is that despite it having some sort of guide, it is pretty wide, meaning that along your sail, you have more control over your steering and whether you are going to put your foot to the metal or take a calm slow journey around all the theming. And so we're giving Skipper School a combined score of 20. Get ready for takeoff, as next up on our list we have Sky Patrol, where believe it or not, this time you can become a pilot and fly a helicopter. However, it is not all as easy as it may sound, as once you have jumped aboard the many creatively designed helicopters, you will need to use one of the levers provided to make your helicopter rise up, as well as down, and then another one to make it spin around. Although once you have learned the controls, I promise you that this is such a fun ride, as well as a ride that provides some fantastic views across the land and will create an experience that will never be forgotten. And so we're giving it a score of 14. If you have just ridden Pirate Reef but are still looking to get even wetter, then you are in luck, as we now have Splash Battle, which, trust me when I say, will do the trick. Similar to such rides as a laser game and a boat ride combined, with instead of using laser guns, you will be able to use water guns. As soon as you see this ride, you will instantly want to ride, and you should definitely do that. Within a nutshell, you and the rest of your boat being squirted in every direction imaginable by the other boats as well as the people on shore. Just remember, you can squirt them back on the ride, which we are scoring 24. It is time for our final roller coaster at the park, and for this ride we have got no other than the one and the only Dragon roller coaster. And where do I begin when talking about this ride? As if I was going to talk about every great part, we would literally be here all day. But to start from the beginning, as soon as you have queued up in what I must say is the best themed queue line at the park, and then boarded the Dragon itself, you will take a trip around the castle, seeing what life must have been like all before a layout consisting of 3 helixes and even a airtime hill as well. And so with all of this and including the castle too, I think it's easy to see why we are giving it a roaring score of 36. After ranking and reviewing over 25 rides and attractions, as well as almost losing my voice, we have made it to the final ride at the park, Unikitty's Disco Drop. And wow, is this drop tower amazing or what? Similar to Beetle Bounce, just a lot better, you will begin your disco with rising up and dropping on the very awesome looking tower. Although we are nowhere near over yet, as you will also bounce and spin, providing an experience which I must say is more fun than half the bigger drop towers around the world. And so this highly themed attraction is getting a score of 26. There you go, we have just ranked and reviewed every single ride at Legoland California. And if you have enjoyed, please consider commenting, liking and subscribing. And if you want to see every single number per category, we have got it all down in the description below. Nevertheless, with all that said, there is only one thing left to say. That is it from me, Tom Derrick from Theme Park Coastin, and I will see you for the next video. Goodbye.